We're up to Moed Katan Daf Pesamid base. We're up to way in the bottom, and we're up to Omar Rabbi Nachman. Previously, the Gemara discussed about the different cosmetics that women were using, and the Gemara quoted that there was a Goyish neighbor of Rabbi Bibi. He would use sort of a put some lime, to get the hair off to make his daughter beautiful, and she improved. She was so beautiful. The Gemara says that he took 400 zuz from her husband because she became so much more beautiful. But then there was a goy in the neighborhood who also had a daughter, but instead of doing it one limb at a time, he did the whole body, and she ended up dying. So he blamed Rabbi Bibi. He said that he killed his daughter. But Rabbi Nachman says another statement here. Omer Rabbi Nachman, says Rabbi Nachman, Rabbi Bibi deshossi shikra, Rabbi Bibi who drank beer, boyin benate taflo, then his daughters need this treatment. As Rashi explains, bayin benate taflon, the sheikher megadil hasar uma'ave sabosor, because beer grows here and makes the flesh thick. So they had a problem. That's why they needed this special treatment to get the hair off of their bodies. But we, meaning the other rabbis, Rab Nachman, the loy shatin on shikra, we don't drink beer. Loy bayin benatin taflo, our daughters don't need this treatment. They are good to go as is without any of the treatment. Okay. This really belongs to last week's Gemara, and today we'll start a new piece of Gemara. We'll turn the page on Moed Katan Yud Amud Aleph. So over here, the Mishnah says that Hahedyot, you have a tailor who's a professional, and then you have a person who knows how to sew. The person who knows how to sew or wants to sew, he's called a Hedyot, an ordinary. He's not a professional. So the Mishnah said that a Hedyot toifer kidarkoi, that the ordinary, he can sew on his usual way. Since it's not a craftsman, he's not a professional, and therefore he can do it on Chol Hamoed. The commentaries already discussed, explain how come, but we'll just leave it. The Gemara says he can do it. But the Gemara wants to know, Toifer Kidarkei, Rashi explains that we're talking about B'choilo Shamoyed on Chol Hamoed. So the Gemara wants to know, Heichi Domi Hedyot. What is it a Hedyot? Who is considered ordinary versus a craftsman? Heichi Domi Hedyot, Shein Uman, who is not considered to be a craftsman, Shetoifer Kidarkei, who can go ahead and sew in his usual way. Amri Devei Rabbi Yanai. So in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yanai, they said, what is considered a non-professional? Kol she'eina yochel lahoitzi meloi machat bevasachas. Anyone who cannot take out the size of the needle to do it at once. What does that mean? I think what it means is that instead of making one stitch at a time, moving along, I think, maybe I'm wrong, we'll see what Rashi says, that you fold the garment up, you make one hole through the whole thing, so you get all the different stitches by the folds, and then you open it up and you stretch, and you have one sewing together. Maybe not, I'm not sure. Well, I'm not in the sewing business, so I'm not sure exactly. Let's see what Rashi says. Meloi machad bebas achas. So he says, She'ena yochel lilkoit nime hatfira shel choluk. He is not able to collect the threads of the sewing of a shirt kidei litvoir, in order to sew them. He cannot grab hold of the threads. So what does he do? Kushu toifer, when he sews, toichev tchives harbe, he will make a lot of holes, as long as the length of the needle. In other words, he'll go at once, he'll go through, and then he'll pull it from the garment. The nimtzu tfiras harbe, come out many sewings, with one pull. One who knows how to do this is considered to be a craftsman. If you know how to do this, how to do it all at once, and you pull it with one pull, you make all these stitches, that's called a craftsman. If you can't do it, then you're not a craftsman. Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina Omar, Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina says, Kol she'eino yochel lekavin imro b'chafas chalukah. If you cannot make the hem at the edge of your shirt to make a straight hem over there, that's considered to be a non-expert, a not professional, a non-tailor. So Rashi she'eino yochel lekavin imro b'chafas chalukah. So Rashi she'eino yodea litchoif oise beged of, doesn't know how to stick that thick piece of garment, of cloth, she'oise memenu imra, that you make a hem of it, the edge of it, b'chavas chalukoi, in the edge of the shirt. Apparently, it doesn't look like they, I don't know if they folded it, or it looks like they added like a piece to make it into a thicker piece at the edge. But he doesn't know how to do that at the edge of his shirt. In one place it's short, it's not the same size of a hem all around. It's wide and low. That's considered not a non-professional. Okay, if you're in the tailor business, then you would know exactly who lacks that professionalism, and he's allowed to go ahead and sew on Cholamavit. Now, we also learn ha'uman machliv. Even if you're a craftsman, you can machliv. Machliv comes from the language of kelev, a dog. What does it have to do? Machliv, dog, ha'uman, hachayet, the craftsman, the tailor machliv. What does machliv mean? Frank the Gemara, my machliv. What is the meaning machliv? So the Gemara gives two opinions. Rabbi Yochanan Omar mafsia. Mafsia means he steps. Instead of sewing straight, he sews it out of line. She'ena toifer b'yosher. He doesn't sew straight. Elo mifazer ha tefira, but rather he scatters the sewing. In this case, it looks like he doesn't do it he doesn't stitch one after the other, but rather he scatters the stitches. Ulachi korev machliv. Why do we call it machliv, like the dog? Shadoimim tchuve hamachat. The sticks of the machat are similar l'shine hakelev, to the teeth of the dog, they are far one from another, like the teeth of the dog. The teeth of the dog are not next to each other. They don't hug each other. That's why this type of stitching is called machlif. Rabbi Bar Shmuel Omar, he says, shine kalbato, the teeth of the keleb. That's a little different. Here it's scattered. Over there it's top and the bottom. Shine kalbato zok Rashi. She'einay toikfer gedarkoi toif ze besamuch ze. He doesn't sew it normally. One next to the other. But he sticks one time the needle on the top once, once on the bottom. So it one top, one the bottom. That's why he calls it dog stitches. That's the way the teeth of the dog, one tooth is higher than the other one. So basically, either they're scattered like the teeth of the dog, or they're one on top and one on the bottom like the teeth of the dog. Even if he's a craftsman, but he does it in the unusual way, he too is permitted to do it on Yom Tov. Next, Zog di Gemara, the Mishnah further said, Misargin es hamitos. So they had like a box spring, or the way they would hold the bed would be on ropes. They would pull ropes vertically and ropes horizontally, and they would lie or put something on top of those ropes. That would be their bed. So the Mishnah said that misargin es hamitos, that you can do misargin, and we will see exactly what that means. I just wanted to see what the end of the Mishnah says, that you could and the other one says, no, you can only stretch. Either you can misargin. So what exactly means misargin? And what is mimatchin? That's what we're going to learn now in the Gemara. Also, Rabdimi Omar, so when Rabdimi came, he said, Pligi bo Rabchi barabba barabasi. This is a disagreement of Rabbi Barabba and Rabasi. They're both saying this in the name of Chesky and Rabbi Yochanan. What it is. Okay, and then what do they say? Chad Omar Misargin Shesi V'erev. One says when you can do Misargin means both vertical and horizontal, the length and the width. That's the shesi. Shesi is the length. Erev is the vertical. First you put the length in, and then you weave through the Erev, the vertical. So misargin shesi v'erev, she'oirgim mito shel chavolim shesi v'erev. You're allowed to weave a bed made out of rope by shesi v'erev. And what does it mean when the other person disagrees? Says you can't do misargin, but you could do mematkin. That means shesi below erev. Just to put the horizontal, the pieces of the length, without putting in the vertical pieces. What does it mean, shesi below erev? Says Rashi, shemoiseach hashesi, he pulls the vertical, But you do not weave in there the erev. So that's one interpretation. One interpretation says that one person says you can weave it fully, and the other one says that you can just make the horizontal pieces. But the other person says that misargin means shesi below erev. He's more strict. He says you can only do the first one. Misargin means to just do the horizontal ones, the length. Umematchin means you can't even do at all, but it only means she'im hoya rafui mematchin. If it was already there, but it became loose, it was rafui mematchin, then you can stretch it. So Rashi explains. She'im hoya rafui ze sher nereg yomim rabim, the one that was woven from many days ago. And the strings were weak and they're hanging below, so you can't use them. They're laying on the floor. They've been stretched down to the bottom. And they're not stretched. So then you can stretch it. In other words, you're not allowed to do l'chatchila. In the previous one, he says you can put just the ones, the horizontal ones, the length you can put. According to this one, you can't put anything in there. You can just tighten it if it has weakened, if it has softened. But that's not possible to say that. But Rav Tachlifa Bar Shaul, he learned in Abraisa that these two opinions, Reb Meir and Reb Yossi, who say, one says, Mesargin, and the other one says, Mematchin, that they both agree, She'ein mafshilin chavolim lechatchila, that you're not allowed to weave the ropes to begin with. Ein mafshilin chavolim lechatchila means what? So Rashi. She'ein goydlim chavolim lechatchila. To begin with, one may not make a new bed by pulling the long pieces and then weaving through the cross pieces. They both agree you can't do that. So what's his question? He says like this. Omar. So we can understand, according to the opinion that says, the first opinion that we had, that Misargin Shesi ve'erev. Misargin means both the length and the width. Umematchin means Shesi below erev. So we understand, Hainu de Ketoni Rabbi Tachlifa Bar Shaul. So that's what Rabbi Tachlifa Bar Shaul has to say, Vishovin, but they both will agree that we're not allowed to weave the ropes in the first place. So that means even though he allows you to do Shesi ve'erev, but he's still, to begin with, we don't want you to do that. If you don't have it, we don't want you to do that, to go ahead and go weave ropes in order to make the bed. Omar. But according to the opinion that says Misargin Shasi below erev, that Misargin means the length without the cross pieces. And Memaschin means Shimoy Rofei Matvi can only tighten it. So why do they have to tell you that you can't be going to Hashto Shasi ve'eres Amlet Loy? You're not even allowed to do Shesi ve'erev Chavolim. Do you need to tell you that you cannot make the ropes to the begin with to go ahead and start weaving ropes? What do you need to tell us? We can't even make it. Only Shasi he allows you. And the Gemara says, Kashi, it's taka, good question. Taka problem. want to ask another question. Amalei Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok Rav Chi bar Ovid. So Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok says to Rav Chi bar Ovid, Me'ikol lemanda Omar mesargin shesi b'le'erev. How could we even say? How could there be a person saying that mesargin shesi b'le'erev? That mesargin means shesi b'le'erev. Doesn't really fit. What the nan? Because the Mishnah says over there it's talking about when is the bed mekabel tumo. Rabbi Chaim hamito, a bed will not get tumo only mishayisrek bo shloisha botim. Soirig there 3 botim. 3 botim means you made 3 cross verticals in the horizontal. If you put 3 cross ropes into the bed, that's when the bed becomes a bed and is makabel tuma. Hamita Zoktrashi, the oilam eina mekabelis tuma, could never get tuma. It is not considered a keli to be makabel tuma. Ad sheyisarig bo gimel bote nirin, until you weave through there 3 bote nirim. What the bote nirim is, the vertical, because shashasi kvar matuach. This you see, the horizontal is already stretched. The oireg bo shloisha bote nirim the orif, and you weave through there 3 bote nirim of the orif. So almo. So what do you see clearly over there? The mesargin korishas of erev. That mesargin means when you put the vertical through the orif. So, therefore, Eloki Osi Ravin Omar. So when Ravin came, he said, "B'mesargin kula almulei pligi." There's actually no machloikes disagreement what misargin means. The shesi ve'erev, everybody says it must mean both the horizontal and the vertical. You have them both. Eloki pligi. The disagreement is b'mematchi. What is the meaning of mematchi? That's the only difference. Mar sovar mematchin shesi b'le'erev. This one says mematchin means just the horizontal without the vertical, without the cross. Mar sovar, and the other one holds she'im hoyorofi mematchin. That's what it means, mematchin. That if it was soft, mematchin. Reg the Gemara from a Braisa. I'll ask you a question. So it says in the Braisa, misargin esamito, that you could do this sirgin of the bed, and for sure you can be mematch. Okay, that's the first opinion in our Mishnah. So you can do misargin and for sure mematch. Rabbi Chaim, he disagrees, just like in our Mishnah. Mematchin avolei misargin, you can just do mematchin but not misargin. But the yesh emrim, and others say mematchin kol iker, you're not allowed to be mematch altogether. So in other words, there's a more stringent opinion of Rabbi Yossi, doesn't even allow you to stretch it. So depending on what mematchin means, so the Gemara thinks if mematchin means just vertical without, okay, he says, okay, you can't even put a vertical, it makes sense. But if mematchin means you can just stretch it, if it becomes soft, why would there somebody hold that you can't even stretch it? You're not really doing anything new. You're just tightening it from what it is. The Gemara doesn't think. That's the Gemara's question. Omar. Makes sense. According to the person that says mematchin means shesi b'lei erev, that it means the horizontal without the vertical. That's why the Yesh Emrim disagrees. They come to disagree. That you're not allowed to even just do the stretching it, just the horizontal, you can't do that either. But if we should say, according to one who teaches us, that if it was weak, you can stretch it, The Yesh Emrim Mematche Nami Loi. So the Yesh Emrim will hold that you're not allowed to. Be more surprised. Mematche Nami Loi, you're not allowed to stretch it. Why can't you stretch it? It doesn't really fit. And the Gemara explains, Mematich Nami Loi, bit mehr. Surprising. Asu Yesh Emrim the Mesa Nami Metuchi. This Yesh Emrim are coming to prohibit even to stretch it. V'amai halokovid melacha. He's not doing a melacha. He's stretching it. But you're not gonna let him do it. He won't be able to lay down on the bed if he doesn't stretch it. So how could you not allow him? And the Gemara says, "Ain." No, yes, you're not allowed to do that. Ain. Yes, that's true. Really, this Yesh Emrim is coming to prohibit even to stretch it. And the reason is because you don't have to stretch it. You can put cushions, other cushions. The hoil ve'efsher, lemalia lemita. You can fill the bed, the money with garments, ad le'el to the top. You can fill the bottom. The mizgalei. Then you can put pillows and blankets to sleep on them. So you're talking not allowed to even stretch it. As the Gemara says, kiva on the efsher lemalye b'moni loy tarchino. Since you are able to fill it with garments, loy tarchino da b'toyrach the loy l'tzoyrach. That would be a trouble which was not necessary. And because it's a trouble that's not necessary, so that's why we don't allow you to do that. So Tarchina David Tircha Loy Tarchinon David Toirach the Loy L'Tzoirach. Okay, let's leave this over here today.